these things. What's this all been like for you?
It's been a little bit of a circus, I'd say, but just looking forward to getting past it and moving on to the next game and just making the next kick.
The last game take it up to another notch after that one? You hear from more people, kind of what's been the reaction since then?
Yeah, absolutely. It's kind of blown up over anytime you have a good performance on a Sunday night in front of millions of people. You have a lot of people reach out to you, so it has been quite the attention-getting game for me. So just, like I said, excited for it to quiet down again.
Would you mind tilting your head up just a tad?
Oh, yeah.
Thank you, my friend.
Have you been noticed more? Like you go out to dinner with your wife or anything, or you're at a grocery store or something? Anybody kind of doing a double take?
Not that I've noticed, but kind of keep the hat low, like he said.
What's the art to blocking things out? I know that's what you're trying to do.
Yeah.
Some things are going to get through, but how do you approach that?
Just on the field, it's talking to myself, breathing, just focusing on the little things that you can control, and honestly, just focusing on the job.
John Fossil yesterday, when we were talking to him earlier, where he said you have such a natural motion that he doesn't talk to you about mechanics or anything. Can you talk about that? Have you always just had a natural or an instinct for it?
Yeah, that goes back to when I first started. Obviously, being a soccer player and working with a kicking coach, he told me he didn't want to change too much that I was doing. He just wanted me to kind of have my natural kicking ability and just find steps that make it so I can get to that same position every time, but to not actually worry about the mechanics, since I've been training those since I was 5. Kicking a football is not a whole lot different from kicking a soccer ball in that regard.
And he was saying too, even like every kick of yours is slightly different.
Yeah.
Do you feel that too? I mean, is that each one is?
Yeah, absolutely. As much as you like to be a robot on your steps when it comes to kicking the ball, as soon as I go and I see the ball coming out there, I'm not really worried about exactly how I swing. I have a few things that need to be there, but the rest of it, they just need to be natural and get me through the ball.
What is in your mind as you're approaching a kick? I mean, you just simplicity to key, or
That's just head down, swing through.
are you a superstitious person?
No.
So if somebody talks about, say, a streak or something, that doesn't bother you at all?
No, not so much superstition to it, just more focusing on just one thing at a time. I don't want to kind of build up my ego and forget about the details and the things that have gotten me here.
Brandon, who gave you the nickname and how do you like it?
Butter, that was Dak, and I absolutely love it.
How's it pronounced again?
Butter Aubrey.
Okay. Is it butter or butter?
I'll leave that to Dak.
You just talk about kicking outdoors in Buffalo and the winds, and how do you prepare for something like that?
Yeah, luckily we have a little bit of wind on our field as well, and our practice field, that is. So go out there and utilize the conditions we have here.
Yeah, last week must have been pretty good for you.
Oh yeah, that was brutal.
But is that another step to prove? I mean, certainly you've done well this year, but you haven't had a lot of bad conditions. It's showing you can do it in those outdoor conditions. Is that another step?
Sure. Obviously, week 1 we had the rain and cold game in New York. But yeah, Buffalo's a tough place for kickers to kick, and it's something that I want to go and prove I can do.
Do you take a couple more moments pre-game to focus on those conditions, or do you just kind of take your normal process, do you think?
It's part of the normal process, going out there and assessing the conditions. You see which way the wind's blowing. So I go out an hour before warm up and just kind of see what the conditions are, find things in the stands that I can focus on for my line, for aiming points, just stuff like that. So it is part of the process. Obviously, in a dome, you don't have to worry about it as much, but yeah, that is part of the process.
You said you've been able to, you try to block out all this stuff. What about the people around you? Wife, family, things like that? How do they kind of tell you stuff? I'm like, hey, did you see this? Hey, you were on this, you were doing that?
No, they do a great job shielding me from that stuff. They have a group chat without me in it that they kind of, if they do need to talk about stuff, they'll talk about it there. And yeah, they've been very excited for me, but they do a good job of not letting the outside world kind of influence my thoughts.
You talked about how your wife said, "Oh, you could be an NFL kicker." At what point did you think, "Oh, I can hit a 60-yarder in an NFL game"? At what point were you that comfortable?
Yeah, I don't know if there was any point in particular, but throughout the training process, I do it in practice, then I do it in a competition environment, and just for me, I always felt like I could do it, and just the opportunity doesn't really present itself very often, so that's why I was thankful for it on Sunday night.
Does coach kind of chat with you or ask you how you're feeling about this, and you give him a nod before he rolls you out there for a 60 minutes?
No, that was the decision they made. Obviously, they were talking. Fossil and McCarthy were talking about it. I'm not privy to the discussion. I'm just sitting there waiting to see if my number gets called.
You were just named NFC Special Teams Player of the Week. What are these? You've had some of these other awards throughout the season. What have those meant to you?
Yeah, it's awesome. Thankful for the recognition, for the opportunity to go out there and kick long field goals, to be up for awards like that. So thankful for my coaching staff to give me those opportunities.
How important has the group with Brian and Trent been for you?
They've been massive. They've helped me kind of come through my rookie year with as few hiccups as possible, smoothed it out, and they've been perfect for me on holds.
In your pregame, do you set like, okay, today I feel I can make it from this, and do you talk about that with John, or how do you go about that each game? And it is a little bit different each game.
Yeah, so John does a good job. We have the same field goal routine, warm up, and you kind of see from the ball flight where it is, and it's kind of a nonverbal communication. I have my comfort zone where I feel comfortable from, and John does a good job of seeing that on that day.
Okay.
So last game it was 60, 65. What were you feeling?
It depends on the situation. I think they would have let me go out there from 65, 66 in the end of half situation, but maybe not in that end of first quarter.
Take me through when Dak showed up at that workout that you had.
Oh yeah, so he had a friendly competition going with another kicker that he had met through my kicking coach. That they used to be, my kicking coach and Dak used to be college roommates, and he had met one of the kickers through that relationship, and they had a friendly competition because one of the kickers said he could make 10 of 10 field goals, and Dak didn't believe him, so he said if he could make 8 out of 10 field goals, he'd be impressed. So he came out there and put the money where the mouth was, and the kicker didn't make those kicks, and I just happened to be out there, and they gave me the same competition. I think I went 9 for 10, and that's
What'd you
the
get?
on it.
A dinner or something?
Like $200.
Oh.
Yeah.
All right. And can you talk about the small world of this, that Brian's his roommate and now you're Dak's teammate, and I mean, all of this stuff is just kind of come together.
Yeah, and that original connection has kind of helped Dak to know who I was, and he followed me throughout the USFL, so he kind of knew who I was and believed in me when I got here. So that was another person in my corner that provided me some confidence coming to training camp.
He was talking some junk, I think, too, during that kick.
Absolutely,
right?
Yeah. He brought a couple of friends, and they were pretending to be fans, and the opposition's team just kind of booing you and whatnot, just making it as realistic as possible.
Did you talk junk back after
No,
you made?
absolutely not.
Bones told us earlier in the week about an incognito trip he made out to Birmingham this past summer. What do
Yeah.
you kind of remember of that, and what was y'all's relationship like at that time? He said y'all had been texting back and forth. That was maybe.
Yeah, he had mentioned to me like 3 or 4 weeks prior that he might come out to one of our games, that he'd been watching me, that he's impressed, and if I keep doing what I'm doing in the USFL, that there'll be an opportunity for me in camp. So about 3 or 4 weeks later, he showed up at our game. I didn't know what he looked like, so he tried to be stealthy on the field and just watch the kicks. But my punter, former Denver Bronco, knew who he was and knew what he looked like. And Colby Wadman was his name. He pointed him out and goes, "Hey, that's John Fossil. I wonder who he's here for." And so just went through the game, and then after the game, got a chance to meet and chat with him.